Revealed. The amazing lesson that transformed a millionaire's twin daughters in just 3 days. Carla and Lexi stared at the diner-esque grimy walls, a world removed from their previous lives, where chandeliers sparkled and laughter flowed like champagne. Once crowned the shimmering queens of Chicago's elite, they now sported stained aprons over designer clothes that felt like shadows of their former lives. Each cup of coffee they served felt heavy, so did the fleeting glances exchanged with people they once considered friends. They leaned against the counter, hearts racing, caught between shame and defiance. "Do you remember the last gala?" Lexi whispered, the memory rising uninvited. The competition, the glitzy outfits, the hungry whispers of status. Her stomach churned. "I should be there, not here." Carla bit her lip, echoing the longing. "They had it all, and now do we even belong here?" She replied, flushing with anger and grief alike. They were born with silver spoons, how could they serve burgers? As they wiped down the same table for the 5th time that morning, an older gentleman, Mr. Jenkins, shuffled in. His tweed jacket frayed at the elbows, but a gentle smile lit his face. He sat in a booth against the window, and the girls exchanged glances. Should they approach? He beckoned them over. Could they handle his pity? "Fancy seeing you both here," he commented, his tone light, but there was warmth, the kind that made them uneasy. "Life has a funny way of bringing you back down to earth. Doesn't it?" Carla's fingers twitched. Pity was achingly close, a truth she wanted to shake off. She forced a smile, but it was a mask. One glance into Lexi's eyes confirmed it, a symmetry of doubt. "Do you miss it?" Mr. Jenkins prodded gently. They knew he wasn't just asking about the glamour. Carla fumbled for the words. Did they miss pretending? The weight of expectations? There was a comfort in denial, a shield against this unexpected rupture of self-identity. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Lexi's shoulders slumped slightly. I can't stop thinking about how easy it was to dismiss everyone else all those years. I didn't see them, she admitted, her voice raw. Mr. Jenkins' gaze flickered with understanding, squeezing into the cracks of their privilege. It's fascinating how crisis reshapes what we hold dear, he murmured, leaving them tangled in thoughts of who they used to be versus who they were becoming. What if they could redefine success? Carla felt a pang of urgency, the new normal encroaching on their hearts. But the echo of old lives whispered incessantly. An invitation arrived that very day, a gala to revive their fortunes, glittering and inviting. A chance to resurrect the life that slipped away. It taunted them. Was safety worth their new truths? The ache of longing pulled at them. But so did the honesty they were starting to uncover, unsettling their cores. Do we even want that? Lexi's voice quivered, breaking under the weight of expectation, each syllable lingering like a haunting refrain. Carla tossed a glance at the door, where possibilities loomed darkly, a cocktail of commitment and vulnerability swirling in the air. Could success really be born from their humility? Tension ignited, identity unraveling before them, but they had a decision to make. What did they truly value? A final memory clawed at the edges of their consciousness like a warning sign. The weight of the gala invitation felt heavier than the guilt they'd begun to face, a pivoting moment that would fracture their world again. The next morning, sunlight crept through the diner-esque grimy window, casting a pale glow over the countertops where grease and ketchup stains mingled with remnants of shattered dreams. Carla and Lexi arrived early, a cold dread enveloping them as they prepared to face another day behind the counter. Yet today felt different. A slight tremor of resolution sat in Carla's chest, igniting the dim embers of her awareness. Let us get this over with, Lexi muttered, her voice a low whisper. The fatigue from their ordeal weighed heavily on her. Every friendship lost, every fleeting glance from former acquaintances stung anew. What's the point? Carla looked at her twin, her expression shifting from sorrow to something sharper. But what if we can change it? What if this isn't just about serving burgers? Lexi raised an eyebrow, drawing back slightly as if fearing the depths of her sister's unexpected conviction. What do you mean? Mr. Jenkins said our crisis can reshape what we hold dear. What if we figure out what that means for us? Carla's heart pounded as she articulated thoughts that had danced along the edges of her consciousness but never fully emerged. We've lost everything, Lexi. Doesn't that mean we can build something new, something that matters? The diner buzzed around them. Yet in that single moment, silence enveloped their world. Lexi's brow furrowed, as though she were wrestling with something inconceivable to her new reality. I miss old life. I can't just forget that. Who says we have to forget? Carla shot back, a wave of adrenaline spiraling through her. What if we create a new life with the lessons we've learned? We know what we don't want. Let us find out what we do. Each cup of coffee poured no longer felt like a prison but a canvas waiting for their brushstrokes. As the days turned into weeks, they began to transform the diner incrementally. Carla's ideas ignited a passion within her that lay dormant for too long. She implemented a menu of the comfort food they once enjoyed at those lavish parties, promoting local farmers and suppliers who were often overshadowed by the glitz. Lexi, at first reluctant, found her rhythm in the kitchen, plating dishes like modern art. However, as the remnants of past life loomed nearby, memories haunted their every success. The gala invitation still hummed in the corner of Carla's mind, casting shadows on newfound aspirations. It was a golden lure, but what for? Their growing success at the diner mirrored the pulse of their identity, an identity that stood at odds with the world that once defined them. I can't help but wonder, Lexi began one evening as they washed up the dishes, the clatter of forks mirroring the chaos in their minds. What happens if we did go back? Would this all feel real? Maybe that's the point, Carla replied, not meeting her twin's eyes. Each word sparked illumination and anxiety. Success shouldn't mean betrayal. We can connect who we were with who we need to become. The ground began to shift beneath them, raw ambition coupled with the dawning realization that the road ahead was unmarked, tumultuous but potentially liberating. The day finally arrived when they had to choose. Would they attend the gala, cloaked in their old identities, or embrace their evolution by inviting their new world, their changed selves, into that glittering space? The decision loomed large, darkening the diner's once invulnerable aura as they stared at each other. The echo of past laughter blending with the aroma of the diner distinguishing noise from truth. Carla felt a sudden weight pressing on her chest. The night was upon them, but so were the nagging echoes of doubt, whispering that a confrontation was inevitable. Maybe we can bring them here, Lexi proposed hesitantly, her ambition flickering like a candle in a drafty room. Show them what we've built? The door to their new lives beckoned as the question hung uncomfortably in the air. Would they have the courage to redefine their path? Feeling the steady pulse of change within, Carla nodded slowly, her heart racing as determination ignited. The resolution felt electric. The time had come to face not just their past but their future. What awaited them beyond those diner doors could either shatter or elevate their spirits once more. Outside, the city pulsed with potential, the night vibrating with energy, leaving them on the precipice of something profound and uncharted. Would they leap? The next morning, the diner's atmosphere hummed with a different energy. Carla could feel it in her bones, a vibration of possibility swirling amidst the familiar clinks of plates and ebbing chatter of patrons. Lexi seemed to be caught in the same undercurrent, though her expression was still hardened by uncertainty. Are we really doing this? Lexi asked, her voice laced with tension as she wiped down the freshly polished countertops. The morning light flickered through the window, illuminating the path ahead, though uncertainty still lingered in Lexi's eyes. Every great leap requires a bit of faith, Carla replied thoughtfully. She had embraced the clarity of purpose that had taken root within her. There was a lesson simmering just beneath the surface of their turmoil, an awakening that transcended the grease stains of their past. As customers filtered in, Carla moved purposefully, feeling each interaction as a step into the new reality they were building. She greeted them with a smile that felt genuine and powerful, a far cry from the mask they wore in their former lives. She shared snippets of her revamped menu, her voice imbued with pride for the locally sourced ingredients. "Wow, this really feels different," a regular commented, swirling his coffee in delight. "What has changed?" "It's not just the food," Carla answered, the words flowing with ease. "It's us. We're redefining what this place can be." The powerful thoughts coursing through her were no longer simply abstract ideas floating in her mind. They were becoming a living, breathing reality in the dialogue they shared. With every positive response, the weight on her shoulders lightened. Yet she still struggled to ignite Lexi's dormant fire. Later, as they cleaned up after their lunch rush, Lexi's frustration bubbled over. "You act like this is all as easy as flipping a burger. This is our whole identity we're wrestling with." Carla felt a surge of the very conviction that had spurred her to action. "But we're stronger than this identity, Lexi. We've lived through loss, reshaping our life. Why are we clinging to the fear of what it means to step away from the past?" Lexi crossed her arms, her brows knitted tightly. "I just don't want to hurt anyone. What if they don't understand what we've become?" "Then let us show them," Carla urged, a spark igniting in her. "It's time we took control. We weave our past experience into this new tapestry, allowing growth and connection rather than alienation." A moment passed, the air thick with tension and doubt. Carla took a breath, sensing the volatility of their emotions colliding in that shared space. "Remember the importance of what we are creating here. It's not just a diner. It's a community amidst our struggles. We want them to see possibilities just like we have." That evening, with the diner's space alive and bustling, Carla proposed their initial steps toward the gala, a well-designed event that would become their new platform. "Let us invite our regulars to join us," she said, conviction flooding her voice. "They can see the restaurant for what it truly is, a reflection of our growth." Lexi stood rigidly at first but then began to soften. Facing the patrons who had seen their struggles could validate their journey. Carla watched as light flickered in her sister's eyes. The ember of ambition reignited slowly, but it was there waiting for the right moment to blaze. Yet beneath the excitement simmered an undercurrent of worry. As the sun dipped below the horizon, insecurities whispered doubts back into Carla's mind. Would they truly be ready to confront the past on such a grand stage? The weight of the decision loomed large, as did their shared resolve that night. This moment held the power to either light their way to acceptance or consume them in labels that bound them to who they used to be. Outside, the night promised fresh beginnings, yet with every glimmer of revolutionary hope came the shadows of what they were about to confront. Was this leap into the unknown a path toward personal truth, or would it fracture their fragile spirits? Further, as Carla gazed into the rippling reflections on the pavement, an unsettling thought twisted in her gut. They had transformed their present, but could they navigate past wounds emerging from the darkness? And as realization met resolution, she understood the leap they'd taken was only the beginning. The pressure was mounting. The world that awaited them was beautiful yet terrifying. Would they gather the strength to rise above expectations, or sink beneath their own fears? The weight of tomorrow called out to them both, and a fierce determination surged through Carla, lighting a path ahead, yet what awaited them could unravel or redefine everything they had dared to achieve. The next morning, as dawn broke through the diner's windows, Carla felt a different kind of anticipation thrumming in her veins, like a racehorse poised at the gate. The impending gala loomed over her like a tidal wave, both thrilling and daunting. A part of her reveled in the challenge, while another ruminated on the potential pitfalls. With meticulous care, she prepped for the day ahead, setting aside her trepidations. Each task was a reminder of their goal, a tangible step toward unveiling the diner they envisioned. As the coffee brewed and the grill heated, thoughts of the gala danced in her mind. This wasn't just about food. It was an opportunity to showcase their journey, to invite others in on their transformation. Lexi entered, her expression a mixture of resignation and resolve. Carla sensed the shift her sister was beginning to find her footing, even if it was tentative. "Are you ready?" Lexi asked, the vulnerability of her question revealing the depth of her own struggle to embrace the unknown. More ready than ever, Carla replied, a confidence lacing her words. Lexi nodded, though her eyes betrayed a swirling chaos. As the morning rush unfolded, the diner filled with familiar faces. Carla darted from table to table, buoyed by the community's warmth. Each smile, each compliment, reinforced the resolve that had crystallized within her. The conversation flowed seamlessly, and she peppered in stories about the new dishes, hinting at their deeper significance. Why the change now? A newcomer asked, a hint of skepticism in his tone. It's more than just change. It's evolution, Carla replied, steadying her gaze. This place reflects who we've become, merging lessons learned with good food. It's where the past meets our future. Her words struck a chord. A ripple of understanding swept through the patrons, and for the first time, she could see glimpses of their acceptance unfolding in real time. But in the midst of her triumph, Lexi remained withdrawn, trapped in the rigidity of her anxieties. After the lunch rush, Carla found her sitting at the counter, head bowed. She approached, the weight of an unspoken bond hanging in the air around them. Lexi, what is holding you back? I feel like I'm putting on a mask, Lexi confessed, her voice barely rising above the background buzz. What if they see the real us and reject it? Then they don't understand the journey we've made, Carla countered, her voice steady. We are more than mistakes or what others might think. This is our chance to show them who we really are. With each word, Carla could see the faint glimmer of internal conflict shift in Lexia's eyes. The battle between vulnerability and strength was palpable, and for the first time, Carla noticed the flicker of acceptance in her sister's demeanor, a questioning glance breaking through the fog of dread. Then maybe it's time, Lexi murmured, as if awakening from a deep sleep. Time to face everything head-on. As they prepped the diner for the following day's gala, Carla felt an adrenaline rush of inspiration. There was still fear tethered to the event, but for Lexi, the shift was evident. The walls she had built around herself were beginning to crack, revealing a fierce desire to embrace the change. Yet, as Carla filled a jar with herbs harvested from local farms, her mind buzzed with unanswered questions. Would their customers appreciate the journey reflected in their dishes? Could she maintain this momentum as the shadows of their past loomed large? Leaving the diner that evening, she felt buoyed by renewed optimism but also acutely aware of the risks they planned to take. Tonight, as night wrapped the diner in silence, two counterpart narratives, hope and fear, coexisted within her. In the distance, the stars crackled against the dark sky, reminding her of the vast possibilities ahead. With one final glance back at their diner, she whispered a silent promise to whatever awaited them within that gathering their story was about to unfold. Tomorrow's challenges beckoned, and with every heartbeat, the pivotal moment approached. How would they confront their truths when the gala finally unveiled their metamorphosis? And would their resilience become their greatest strength or their heaviest burden? The morning of the gala dawned crisp and bright, yet Carla awoke with a storm brewing inside her. The last remnants of fear lingered, making her heart race with uncertainty. She stood in front of the mirror, rehearsing her smile. She hadn't mastered the art of displaying her true feelings, but today would demand a new version of herself, one that welcomed vulnerability as fiercely as it embraced strength. And the diner's kitchen. The air was electric with the scent of freshly baked goods mixed with a hint of tension. Lexi moved methodically, arranging plates like a painter preparing a canvas, yet her face still bore shadows of doubt. Carla approached, determination dancing in her eyes. You ready to show up today? Lexia's response was weak, a half-hearted nod accompanied by her biting lip. What if they don't like what we've done? The question hung between them, weighted with possibility. What if they love it? Carla countered, frustration bubbling beneath her calm facade. We can't be anchored by what-ifs anymore. The thought prompted a brief moment of clarity for Lexi. Okay, but what if we screw up? What if our past haunts us? After a moment of silence, Carla leaned closer, her resolve hardening. Every flaw tells a story. Let us own our narrative. A flicker of understanding sparked in Lexia's eyes, But it wasn't enough. The emotional burden of their past loomed large, threatening to overshadow their present triumphs as they plated the dishes. Carla raised her chin, breathing in the bubbling energy that pulsed through her. She envisioned the smiles of diners savoring the food, but beneath her enthusiasm lingered pangs of self-doubt. What if their efforts to redefine nostalgia through their culinary masterpieces fell flat? With each dish, the act of creation became a dance between their heritage and their aspirations. She felt a growing urgency to not only present their culinary evolution but to embrace the lessons embedded in each recipe. This wouldn't merely be about two sisters reclaiming their legacy. It would be about showcasing unapologetic authenticity to those who had come to know them as the hearts behind this diner. As the clock ticked closer to the gala's commencement, a group of familiar diners entered the diner, drawn by the tantalizing scents wafting from the kitchen like moths to a flame. Carla's adrenaline surged. This was her moment to introduce their transformation to people who had witnessed their struggles firsthand. Today is not just about food. It's about us, she announced to the gathered crowd, her voice unwavering despite the weight of scrutiny she felt. You're tasting more than the dishes. You're tasting our journey. The murmur of conversation faded as her words landed. She scanned the faces, noting a mix of curiosity and skepticism. This was an open invitation, and with every heartbeat, her resolution hardened. Yet, in the corner of her perception, she caught Lexi's hesitant aura, the vulnerability written in every furrowed brow. Carla pivoted, now entirely focused on her sister. This is our time to shine, Lexi. What we've built is worthy of celebration. For a heartbeat, Lexi seemed to struggle under the weight of expectation. But then she nodded, a small flicker of determination igniting within her. The final preparations transformed from a chore into a shared mission, a testament to their newfound courage. As the clock struck the hour, guests filled their diner, and the air buzzed with anticipation. What they discovered in those moments would reshape more than just their business. It could redefine who they were beneath the masks they wore. Carla felt a thrill of clarity mingling with uncertainty, the two sides of her persona colliding beautifully in this uncharted territory. Stepping back, she surveyed the scene, but one nagging thought anchored her thoughts. Would they truly accept this reinvention? Just then, the door swung open, and an unexpected figure appeared, a face from their past, poised to disrupt everything they had carefully crafted. How would they confront the shadows of who they once were when the truth about their past resurfaced? The figure that walked through the door was unmistakable Roger, their estranged father. Carla's stomach dropped, a violent storm of emotions stirring inside her. His sudden presence felt like a burst of icy wind, slicing through the warmth the diner had cultivated. The atmosphere shifted, and all eyes turned toward him, anticipation tangling with suspicion. Carla felt anger rise, a primal instinct fight. She had spent years building this place, shaping their legacy with Lexi, and yet here he stood, an unwanted ghost of the past. But as she watched Lexi at the edge of her vision, frozen like a deer in headlights, the anger shifted. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about both of them, for whom the past remained hauntingly vivid. Why now? She questioned internally, grappling with the emotional reflex that urged her to confront him, but also cautioning her to stay focused on the evening's purpose. Displaying vulnerability, she reminded herself, wasn't merely about embracing honesty. It demanded strength too. Isn't it charming? A voice broke through her thoughts, and she turned toward the source. Cindy, a local food critic and patron, was eyeing the unfolding drama with ill-concealed delight. Carla clenched her jaw. This was not the time for judgment, it was time to reclaim their narrative. Taking a breath, she focused on Lexia's face, scanning the knots of doubt etched across her sister's brow. The specter of their father couldn't unravel the fragile fabric they had woven together. Stay rooted, she whispered internally, anchoring herself in the moment. Drawing courage from Lexia's vulnerability, Carla stepped forward, determined to project an air of authority that belied the churn of confusion inside her. Everyone's here to enjoy our creations, not our past, she announced, her voice steadier than her heart felt. Reaching into the depths of her emotional toolkit, She remembered the lessons learned turning pain into art. "Let us embrace who we are now," she thought, the words crystallizing within her. "One moment, one story at a time," she added, mentally displacing Roger from the center of her world. "Dad," Carla began, addressing him directly, "you chose to leave this family. You're not a part of the journey we've embarked on." The words came unbidden, raw and fierce. Lexi's gaze brightened slightly at the side of her, the realization echoing in their shared resolve. They could define their relationship with their father, or choose to redefine themselves on their own terms. Roger's face flickered a mixture of surprise and discontent, and the fleeting glimmer of anger sparked in Carla's chest. This was a new terrain, one where they no longer appeared as the broken girls left in his wake. The room vibrated with tension, but as she stood, she felt the ground below her feel solid for the first time in years. Maybe their father's return could serve as a powerful tool to fuel their growth rather than tear it down. "This is not a time for old ghosts," she told herself, bolstering her own strength. "This is a time for forging new paths." Seeing that her words held weight, she knew it was her choice to either advance or retreat, something she hadn't held the power to do years ago. "It's time for me and Lexi to show not just the world, but us, that our story is just beginning." As laughter returned and plates were served, Carla made a choice. She would blend past and present, learning from former scars while redefining dignity and grace. Yet amongst the triumph, the uncertain thoughts about how Roger would respond loomed. Would he shatter her new foundation, or might he surprise her, perhaps acknowledging the daughters he had left behind? That question wedged itself deep in her psyche, tugging at her upcoming choices. The evening was only getting started, and Carla sensed this was a pivotal moment, but the real transformation was only beginning. Would she be able to rise above her past without losing the edges of who she was? Or would the night reveal revelations about herself she had yet to uncover? Carla stood at the edge of her world, where the open diner's door became a threshold not just to the bustling streets outside, but to the tangled echoes of yesteryears, represented by Roger's sudden entrance. The room buzzed around her, laughter and chatter melding with the clink of silverware. Yet her senses were focused solely on the sight of him, a man who had written his absence into the fabric of their lives. With her heart racing, she caught her sister Lexi's gaze, a flicker of uncertainty mirrored in both their eyes. Carla felt the weight of their shared history. It anchored her resolve. The diner symbolized rebirth. She had crafted it from dreams, meticulous plans, and countless late nights. It was built on resilience, not regret. It could not be overshadowed by the past. As she moved back into the flow of serving customers, a sudden memory surged, seemingly conjured by the ambience. The sense of the late-night cooking sessions with Lexi, laughter punctuating the tired exhaustion. The way they infused their dishes with flavors born of hope rather than despair. "Focus," she whispered to herself, steering her thoughts back to the moment. She busied herself with an order, watching the inclination of patrons' heads lean toward the unexplained commotion at the door. Roger wasn't merely a visitor. He was an unannounced revision to their story. The urge to confront him simmered beneath her skin, and yet she felt the pulsing heartbeat of determination urging her to stay on mission. "What is he doing here, Carla?" Lexi's voice broke through her thoughts, barely above a whisper, but steeped in a confusion that reflected her own. "I don't know," Carla replied, refocusing her mind, "but we're not giving him control over our evening. Tonight is about us." Lexi nodded, drawing strength from her sister's conviction. They shared a glance, an unspoken reminder of the promise they had made to honor themselves together. It was a pact to no longer be passive characters in their narrative. With a fresh determination, Carla began to process an imperative question. What qualities had she unearthed in herself through this hardship? Each dish served was a testament to her growth, and Roger's presence presented a challenge that might ultimately reveal untapped capabilities. Perhaps it was time to dig deeper. The diner's ambience had shifted, and suddenly laughter seemed distant, like the muffled sound of an approaching storm. Carla placed an order, exaggeratedly confident to quell the internal tempest. The notion that she needed to simply endure her father's presence faded. It was time to confront who she had become because of their estrangement. I could take you on, she thought, practically daring herself. What would it look like to assert her worth? To be unyielding and unapologetic? It dawned on her that overcoming the shadow of Roger would transform into a personal revelation. Images of Roger's harsh criticism echoed memories swirling with feelings of unworthiness. Those scars had shaped her, but now she realized they could not define her. Stepping away from the counter, she instinctively headed back toward where he stood, Lexi close behind, their aura of intimidation defying any lingering doubts. Roger, Carla began, her tone commanding, yet tinged with unexpected vulnerability. You can't just walk back into our lives without acknowledging how your departure shaped our past. The words felt liberating, and with each syllable, she reclaimed not only her narrative but that of her sister. Roger's face contorted a blend of anger and disbelief, but Carla felt empowered, energized by the raw honesty that had taken roots between them. The fear of reigniting old memories slipped away, replaced by a dawning sense of agency. Tonight, we define what family means to us, she declared, her voice rising above the murmur of disbelief from the room. And you're either with us or you're not a part of this. As the tension swirled in the diner, images of the past intertwined with the potential for new connections. Would their father's fragile demeanor soften? The night, with all its fluid possibilities, seemed to stretch before her a blank canvas ready for bold strokes of authenticity and resolution. Let us see what he does next, Carla thought, anxiety replaced by raw anticipation. The culmination of years of hidden resentment was bubbling to the surface. What would she reveal about herself next? Would this exploration reshape their connection? The question loomed as thick as the tension in the air. The air hung heavy with expectancy as Carla locked eyes with Roger, the atmosphere in the diner shifting palpably, like the tension before a storm. The chatter faded into a murmur, and the clinking dishes seemed to pause, all eyes drawn to the impending confrontation. A part of her wondered if Lexi could feel the charged energy to a silent agreement to face their shared history side by side, even if it was filled with unease. The seconds stretched into an eternity. Roger shifted on his feet, his eyes narrowing as he attempted to slice through her newfound confidence with skepticism. You really think you can dictate what family means? He challenged, his voice steady but layered with disbelief. Carla's mind raced, wrestling between defending her ground and soothing the anxious instincts that long considered him an authority. I'm not here to dictate anything, she replied, keeping her tone steady. I'm here to reclaim the definition that was taken from us. You lost the right to define family when you chose to walk away. With her words, she dug deeper, plunging into the reservoir of pain and disappointment she had kept at bay too long. Each syllable was steeped in her transformation, a rebirth sparked not by anger but by empowerment. The diner, her creation, echoed her spirit, a space woven with laughter, healing, and resilience. Behind her, Lexi remained a steadfast pillar, driven by Carla's resolve. She caught her sister's glance, and it offered a silent encouragement to keep pressing forward, to not only confront Roger but to redefine them both. Realizing her voice didn't just carry weight for herself, but for them both illuminated a new realization. They were stronger together. Everything you did, Roger, Carla pressed on, made us who we are today. It shaped me into the woman who fought through the darkest nights, fueled by dreams you doubted, even ridiculed. This diner embodies that fight. I'm here to prove that I am more than your judgments. The challenge hung in the air, and as she expressed her feelings, something inside Carla shifted. No longer did she feel like a passive participant waiting for validation. Instead, she embraced a sense of fierce independence that demanded respect, a respect Roger had never adequately shown them. With anticipation coursing through her veins, Carla marveled at the unexpected sense of liberation that unfurled. Would he respond? Or were the years of resentment cemented too deeply for reconciliation? Roger inhaled sharply as if struck by the weight of her words. The town of memories flooded back, but this time they were punctuated not by regret, but by recognition or perhaps realization. What you've built here isn't just a diner. It's a statement, he murmured, a hint of humility creeping into his hardened demeanor. But turning back now, it doesn't erase what happened. Maybe it doesn't, Carla interjected, her voice unwavering. But it can lay the groundwork for something different. Drawing a breath, she braved the vulnerability of her next confession. I want to understand how we move forward, even if it's on new terms. But you need to stop hiding behind your mistakes. We deserve honesty now. As the weight of her plea settled in, a shadow of uncertainty began to shadow Roger's face, a manifestation of the conflict within him. Each flicker of vulnerability she saw ignited an ember of hope within her, a belief that perhaps this moment could lead to healing. But just as she sensed a crack in his armor, the door swung open. A new wave of customers flooded in, the cheerful chime of the bell ringing strangely against the heavy silence. Carla's resolve momentarily wavered as external chaos collided with internal clarity. Life doesn't pause for us to sort through our past, she thought, revving her determination. Everyone in the diner was a witness, a moment of truth unfolding right under their noses. Now, with newfound clarity, she realized her own journey was the main course. Roger, this is only the beginning, she stated, grounding herself in purpose. Our story doesn't end here. It evolves. In that moment, the question loomed. Was Roger ready to embrace this evolution, or would he retreat into the shadows again? As she prepared to face whatever came next, the lingering doubt remained. Could she trust him to navigate this treacherous path? Or was this a step toward another deep quake in their family story? Carla stood in the organized chaos of the diner, her heart racing as she anticipated Roger's next move. The moment felt like a tightrope walk, balancing on the edge of vulnerability and determination. Could she trust him to acknowledge the shift in their relationship, or would he retreat back into the silence that had haunted them for so long? Lexi's presence was a soothing balm. Her sister's courage bolstered Carla's resolve. Together, they embodied a resilience that had weathered years of emotional storms. As she glanced at Lexi, Carla felt that they were no longer just sisters but allies in a quest for closure, understanding, and ultimately, empowerment. Don't let them overshadow this moment, Carla, Lexi whispered, her voice barely perceivable over the chatter. It's your truth. Own it. Carla took a deep breath, feeling the fiery spirit from the diner's bustling ambience seep into her very core. Roger, she began again, I've realized that the past can't be changed, but we can change how we respond to it. Her words bore the weight of understanding, the acknowledgement of years lost but the embrace of reconciliation. With every passing second, she felt her confidence solidify. Roger's expression shifted from skepticism to something softer, more contemplative, and watching this metamorphosis stirred a flicker of hope within her. Yet fear nagged at her thoughts. What if this awakening was only temporary? What if he clung to the past with more fervor than she could anticipate? A customer at the counter laughed heartily, breaking the moment's intensity, and Carla seized on that burst of life. I'm here because my dreams matter, Roger. They always have. This diner is a manifestation of my resolve to build something meaningful from our past. The sincerity in her voice rang clear, echoing those words of empowerment she had internalized over the dark nights. Each statement solidified her growth, a revelation that was beyond emotional catharsis. It was a commitment to herself. Roger's brows knitted tightly as he absorbed her words. Was there anger flowing behind those thoughtful eyes, or were they tinted with reluctant admiration? It's just hard to let go, Carla. You have to understand. His voice lingered, begging for a pause that revealed his conflict. No, she interrupted softly, aware that this was her moment to establish her boundaries. Understanding comes with acknowledgement, not excuses. I want to build something that reflects two families struggling, evolving together. As she spoke, a new realization emerged within her. This wasn't just about reconciling with Roger, but also about redefining her own narrative. The emotional turmoil she had depended on had morphed into a driving force that propelled her toward clarity and purpose. Could it be possible that this was more about her liberation than forgiveness? Roger's gaze softened, a crack forward in the heart of his indifference. What if I'm not capable of being that person, Carla? His question tugged at the remnants of doubt he still clung to. "Then tell me," she implored, holding his gaze steady. "What do you want our relationship to be? You have to face the truth of your past to move forward." The diner hummed around them, but Carla felt like they were in their own world, the noise fading into a distant hum. She could almost see the wheels in his mind turning. He was grappling with something deep, an internal battle between shame and the longing for connection. Suddenly, Roger's phone buzzed violently, shattering the fragile haven they had created between them. He broke eye contact, momentarily distracted. This shift reawakened an anxiety within Carla. Time was fleeting, and with it, potential progress could dissolve. "Roger," she pressed, urgency seeping into her tone. "They say we are products of our past, but moments of courage shape our futures. Will you choose to act?" The tension swelled between them, an unsaid promise suspended in the air. As Roger's framing of the moment took shape, a palpable change began to stir. Yet just when the gap between them seemed on the verge of closing, the front door swung open again and a shock from Carla's past stepped in, reshaping the narrative like a sudden gust of wind. What would this new presence demand of her? And would it cast a shadow over the clarity she had just begun cultivating with Roger? Amidst the bustling diner, the air thickened as an unmistakable figure entered the presence of their mother, Margaret. Time paused. The cacophony dulled under the weight of her unexpected arrival. Carla's heart raced as memories swirled. She had lived through the fallout of her parents' decisions, having fought tirelessly to craft a new identity unmarred by their legacy. Lexi blinked, surprised, a mirror of Carla's apprehension. Margaret's gaze darted around, every familiar face in the diner filled with judgment as if she were an accused in a courtroom. Carla's stomach twisted with a mix of anger and disbelief. How could she show up after years of silence, just when they felt they were on the verge of something significant? Just when Carla was finally piecing together her past and reimagining her future. But now, they were woven together, each strand of their experiences forging a new tapestry. "Carla, Lexi," Margaret's voice broke through the ambient noise, weary but laced with a hint of desperation. The tension among the diners deepened, their common whispers transforming into an inquisitive reverence. Carla felt the primal urge to confront this ghost, but she steadied herself, the redirection she practiced over the past months flooding her consciousness. Taking a deep breath, she walked toward her mother, Lexi, at her side. "You didn't have to come here. After everything, we thought we deserved some peace." Each syllable was firm, grounded in newfound boundaries formed through hardship. Margaret recoiled, her eyes glossing with a mixture of regret and helplessness. "I had to see you both," she insisted, her voice wavering. "I've watched you from a distance, and I'm proud." The words fell flat, thick with the weight of their history. "Proud?" Carla retorted. "Proud isn't what we needed. We needed you to fight for us when you walked away." She felt the heat of her emotions rise but pressed on. "You can't just re-enter our lives and think you can knit the fabric back together." This moment was about reclamation. It was about the sisters' independence, and it was also about discovering whether their mother was rooted in remorse or simply veering into the familiar. In the back of her mind, the echoes of Mr. Jenkins' reverberated, crisis reshaping clarity. This was their true test. Would they choose to remain shackled to past disappointment, or could they carve a new narrative? Margaret's steady gaze faltered. "I was lost, Carla. I never stopped caring. Just lost my way." The depth of her opening left an opportunity potential, the suggestion of recognition rooted in her mother's pain, but it also reeked of the old ploys that Carla yearned to escape. A series of emotions cascaded through Carla, from anger to a flicker of hope. "Maybe we can all grow, but it can't be returned to the old patterns. This diner is ours now. It represents everything we've built." She gestured around the room, the laughter and camaraderie buoying her spirit. It was a testament to their triumph amidst strife. "It symbolizes resilience," Lexi added, her voice eerily steady for someone teetering on emotional brink. She was learning the quiet strength she'd accessed through Carla's convictions, igniting her own budding resolve. "We can't carry your burdens or shackles. They're heavy enough." Margaret found it hard to process their fierce independence, her eyes shimmering with a mix of fear, and a desire to connect, to apologize, to mend. I never intended for you to carry the weight of my choices. Let us redefine what family means, Carla implored, grounding herself in the present while acknowledging the weight of their previous conversations with Roger. But trust isn't built on just words. It is built on actions, too. Their voices melded as they rekindled the fires that motivated their evolution, in that charged space. Amidst patrons who witnessed the raw exchange of unfulfilled expectations, the sisters stood together, a testament to their shared fortitude. I will forever cherish what we've experienced, but I can't see myself returning to the patterns of the past. Choose to stand beside us, or watch us flourish from a distance. Carla's voice grew stronger, imbuing the atmosphere with determination. It was a delicate embrace of the past coupled with the resolution to step into a new legacy, one unchained from their tumultuous history. As they extended their hands to Margaret, resolutely willing to incorporate the lessons learned, a recognition began to form. If they could grasp and accept their parents' imperfections, perhaps they truly could reshape the whole narrative. It felt electric, liberating, as even the diners around them leaned in, witnessing a family attempting to reclaim bonds anew. And in that moment, Carla realized the true essence of her transformation. Her grit and bravery didn't simply lie in the diner, but in the very act of redefining connections, choosing grace over anger. Tangible applause erupted, patrons rising to cheer for not just the food, but the human resilience evident in that room, woven with laughter and shared stories. And amidst it all, the catalyst awaited, a choice lingering in the air. Would they transcend the past into a future brimming with potential? Carla felt her heart swell, proud of the journey they had undertaken. Together as twins, sisters, and now mothers to their own awakening, they stood firm on the precipice of their newfound family, ready to embrace the evolution of their identities, no longer trapped by what had been, but emboldened by the promise of what could flourish ahead. Now was the time for action. Their moment stood before them like an unturned page. As they faced both the remnants of their parents and the exhilarating prospects of tomorrow, the new dawn loomed bright with potential. This was no longer just about food. This was about their legacy. Their growth became a beacon for healing. As Carla smiled at the gathering crowd, watching fragments of hope come together, she could finally echo a truth that resonated deep within. No one can steal your light when you choose to shine boldly, a thread illuminating the intricate design of their reunion, reborn through adversity. This was it. Would they join together, shine brighter still, and shape the world anew? The air vibrated with anticipation, each heartbeat signaling the power of individual strength flowing through that diner filled with warmth, a sanctuary transformed, communities rebirthed, dreams realized. Now, reader, it's your turn to channel this journey into action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories, because you need to subscribe now. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, as each click counts in amplifying the narrative that inspires. Comment your reactions and theories about this transformative journey, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.